Hi and welcome back to my channel. My name is Ashley. I'm an exercise physiologist, and today I'm going to be talking to you about self-care. Self-care is really important, and it's not only important to do once in a while, it's very important to do every single day. We all know that the better we feel and the more rested we are, the more nourished we are, the better we are at serving and helping others. A lot of times we go throughout life and we just put ourselves to the side. I understand, people have busy lives, they have families, they have to keep going. But a lot of times we can really profit from minimizing the things we say yes to and changing the behaviors and the habits of ourselves, of our family, to better ones that we can build now and that will grow into something as we go through life and as the people around us go through life as well. Okay, so on the topic of self-care, there are keywords, self-management, self-monitoring, and self-help. While I'm not really trying to say here that you should be, micromanaging yourself and having these high expectations for yourself, or maybe putting a lot of pressure on yourself to be a certain way. All I'm saying is that by incorporating healthy lifestyle habits into your life, you'll be able to take care of yourself better and feel good, actually feel good in this life, and not always going from one day to the next and just kind of letting time pass by, wondering what it would be like to feel better, to feel your best, or to reach your full potential. And that is possible at every stage of life. Don't think that because your teen years or your 20s, your 30s, or whatever are behind you, that you don't have a full life ahead of you. And you can get the most out of it if you are taking care of yourself. Not only all the people around you, but also of yourself. And that may not be what we really think that it is or what it looks like, okay? So self-help is kind of a funny one and a tricky one because no one is self-made. Even, Arnold Schwarzenegger, all these people, they'll admit that they had help at becoming famous. Now, I'm not talking about fame or anything like that. I'm talking about getting your life to a place where you're able to be nourished and thrive in life, regardless of your financial circumstances, regardless of the opportunities that you have. Everybody has the power of choice and the ability to bring these healthy things into their lives to be able to thrive. So thriving is really the end goal. Most of the evidence indicates that even low levels of depressive symptoms are indicative of poor self-care. So when our mood is low, when we go through different cycles throughout the month of hormones, if we're not sleeping properly, people may have just a natural low-grade depression. And with all this stuff going on in the world today, it's really hard not to have a little bit of depression and anxiety, but we don't have to live there. We don't have to stay in that place. God is the same yesterday, today, and forever, and his promises remain true. So if we are in him and we're trusting him, regardless of what's going on in the world, we can have, we can be encouraged and know that he is taking care of everything and that death is not the end. We don't need to fear death. Okay, so just be aware of that. Like if you're in a funk, if you feel like you're a little, depressed or maybe under the weather, people that have different illnesses may be susceptible to depressive symptoms, and that can also trickle into poor self-care. So what is self-care? It's simple, okay? How are you treating yourself? Our bodies are a living organism. Are we resting? Are we drinking enough water or the right amount of water? Are we eating healthfully at every single meal or the majority of our meals? Are we showering? Are we cleaning ourselves properly? Are we not over cleaning ourselves, right? Just finding that homeostasis in everything. Are we having healthy bowel movements, right? Are we getting fresh air? Are we having our blood work done, like I talk about all the time, so that we can monitor our internal function, how our body is really regulating itself. So all these things have to do with self-care. Are we going to the dentist? Are we getting our hair cut? Are we, just simple things? Are we, taking time to do a mask, or, get a massage, or whatever it takes to have this longevity and to have this ability to thrive throughout our whole lives? Because think about it, we're only young by the world standards for what, 20 years, maybe 25, and then all the research and everything, or a lot of the research says, everything starts degrading after that. And so instead of living this life like, well, I might as well just, not worry about things, and maybe I'll just not care anymore because, whatever life is going on. Well, I challenge you to really think, like, how can you be the best version of yourself for that decade of your life, or that season of your life, and not putting so much pressure on yourself to be perfect, but again, going back to that self-care, being able to nourish yourself and nurture yourself as you would someone in your life that you love. What do they need? What would make them thrive? What would make their soul just feel like they know who they are, that they are just in the present moment, and just kind of, being themselves and just feeling good and okay about that, okay? And I think I believe it's valid, and I think it's very important. I don't, I'm not undermining the things that are going on in the world. There's a lot of crazy things going on. A lot of people are hurting. But, as Christians, all we can really do is pray, unless you have the ability to really jump in and help with these types of things. But I will tell you that worrying and having anxiety about things is not the solution. The solution is trusting in a God, in a creator that can help guide you through this life, whatever it may be, whatever storms may come, that you have complete trust in him, and that, you just feel like you're aligned with the creator. That is kind of like my jam, kind of like what I'm always honing in on in my life, and what makes me feel stable and gives me that balance, okay? So behavior change is a big topic, and so some of the research I found identified 4 different areas of behavior change to consider. Attachment to unhealthy behaviors. How much do we rely on certain things to satisfy us, to just get us through the next day, to survive, right? We hear people all the time, I'm making it, or I'm hanging in there, right? Well, we're actually designed to thrive all throughout generations. Thriving may not mean what you have in your head or what you're thinking it may be, but just having that groundedness, having that wholeness, having that sense of peace, to me, that's thriving, okay? So attachment to unhealthy behaviors. I have people tell me all the time, I love my wine, or I love my cheese, and it's always my. And that's the attachment. That is what that person has decided to identify as theirs, because it provides some sense of satisfaction or relief. And if these things are unhealthy, even though you may feel like it's helping you in the moment, it's not self-care, because it is doing you a disservice in the long run. So it's kind of like a trick or a lie. It's like someone wearing a beautiful mask and telling you to do something really bad, and then taking that mask off, and you just see that they're like really scary and who they really are. And it's just a lie. It's just all a lie. And I'm speaking about different processed foods and bad things that we consume, to drugs or alcohol, or addictions to sex or other things, okay? Number 2 is lack of motivational change. So, as I mentioned, when people are suffering, they sometimes lack motivation. In other circumstances, when people are suffering, they gain momentum and they're inspired to change. I worked in cardiac rehab, and, I worked there in one rehab for almost 2 years. And every single week we would have new patients come in, and it never failed. Every time people would come in, the newbies, the fresh people that came in, they would have heart attacks and heart events that happened to them. And they, most of the time, were scared, freaked out, especially if it was the first time something like that had happened to them. And I would understand their pain and try to console them and listen to them. And it was just, I was excited at the same time, because I knew that as they went through the program and they met other people, and it was a very large program that I worked in, so there was, a large community of people for support, but I knew that they would feel better and that they would be thriving by the end of it. And it was amazing, the transformations that I saw, people smiling and laughing and engaging with people and getting their health back. So sometimes, you know, bad things that happen can be a motivation for change as well. Number 3, difficulty deciding when during someone's lifespan they want to adopt a healthy lifestyle. Okay, so some of us, we grew up playing sports and we had people in our lives that, you know, motivated us to choose properly, that motivated us to, you know, even understand what being healthy, what that took, what do we have to do in order for that to happen. Other people didn't have that, you know, but now we have the internet and you can basically Google how to become healthy and you'll find that information, or you can watch my videos. Okay, so when in the lifespan, we don't want to wait until something bad happens, and that shouldn't be like a, you know, a threat or anything like that to people. You know, we should do it before. We should try our best to be as healthy as possible. You know, obviously we're not perfect. You know, I mess up sometimes, or I have my cheat meals and stuff, but the majority of the time we are taking care of ourselves and nourishing ourselves. Okay, and if bad things happen, at least we know that we did our best, we did our homework, you know, we put the work in. We're a plant, we're growing ourselves, we're putting that plant food, or you know, the proper soil is there, everything is there in order to create a beautiful plant. But sometimes the storms come by, maybe things that are unanticipated, you know, and it may mess up, you know, the plants, you know, the beautiful roses or whatever it is, right? But if the seed is still there, or if the roots are still there, a lot of times those things can recover, okay? And we can grow and flourish into that plant again. So if you're someone who maybe has lost your way or has trailed off, whether you've gotten involved in drugs or alcohol, or just eating poorly and not exercising, you can always come back. You can always make those changes to come back, and your body is going to feel uncomfortable, and your body is going to be mad at you, and you're going to feel like you want to give up. But if you keep doing it, you'll see the positive change, and it will become your lifestyle. And then if you want, you can start inspiring other people to also do so, and they'll start feeling better. And it's like, you know, that thing where you smile at someone and it creates more smiles, they smile back at you, right? So it's the same kind of thing. So another thing that I think about a lot of times is, you know, for example, obesity isn't contagious, right? Like, we're not going to catch it. However, we are a product of the 5 people closest to us. And I'm sure you've heard this in different, you know, terms or worded differently. But if we are hanging out with 5 obese people, how do you think the condition of our life is going to be? And I'm not trying to make fun of anyone, and I'm not making light of this situation, okay? And, you know, there's a lot of, you know, controversy around obesity, so I apologize if I'm offending anybody, but more than likely, if your 5 friends are obese, it's going to be harder for you not to be obese, okay? So if you're not wanting to be obese, and I know, you know, people are trying to glamorize fatness and things like that, but from a medical standpoint, from a technical standpoint, having additional adipose tissue on the body is not healthy. It's not healthy for the organs, and it's not healthy for the joints. It is just simply not healthy. So I'm not trying to shame anyone. I'm just wanting to let you know that instead of trying to uplift something that is not healthy, that's like me saying that, like, oh, drugs are great for you, let's keep doing them. Let's, you know, if someone is in pain, if someone is, you know, going down, we're going to try to help them. We're going to try to get them stable. It doesn't mean you have to starve yourself. It doesn't mean you have to have this certain image that someone thinks they should have of you, but getting yourself to a healthy balance really should be the goal, okay? And that starts with the internal environment and the blood work. And then number 4 is difficulty in maintaining a healthy behavior over time. And I'll write this stuff down below, but I think it kind of summarizes it very well. So over time, you know, are we able to persevere? You know, are we able to, is it a real change? Are we not going to relapse? And if we do, how long is a relapse going to be? And this is where the power of God, I believe, really comes into it, because if you invite him, if you're a Christian, you invite him to every part of your life, and you're trying to achieve this health goal, or you're trying to lose weight, or you're trying to, you know, correct whatever is going on, a behavior change, and you invite God into your life, he's really the one that you're going to lean on, and he's the one that's going to really produce the miracle in your life. So don't discredit that. I would say give it a chance. Okay. So what's your motivation? What is your motivation for change? Sometimes people are doing it, I don't want to say for the wrong reasons, but maybe they're doing it for their kids, or they're doing it for their grandkids, or they're doing it for their spouse, or they're doing it for a competition or a wedding or for some external factor. But when that thing passes, or when that thing doesn't give us the recognition or the kind of self-satisfaction that we thought that it would, a lot of times people will fall off of those habits and they continue going back to these bad habits. And when I mean bad habits, it's things that are producing ill health in the body. It's things that are reducing longevity. And I understand we're all going to die one day, but how we feel while we're alive, I think really matters. Okay? So resilience in the face of stressful events and social context, so different social things that happen, can interfere with self-care, right? Obviously. So being prepared for things in life to happen, because they do, small or big, having a strategic plan. So if you're busy with something and you need to get your workouts in, they may be shorter, they may be different at different times, and that may shake us up a little bit, may feel like, oh my gosh, is that in my routine? But we need to be able to be flexible. Okay, if we don't have access to the same foods we know that we like and they're healthy and they're nourishing and I like the way it tastes, be flexible. Have some alternatives. If I go to the store and I plan on buying organic apples and they don't have the ones I want, I'm not going to buy chips instead. I'm going to find another type of fruit or another apple or something else, right? And I'm sure you do the same thing. Okay, so what interferes with your self-care? I want you to really think about it. Is your job? Is it traveling? Are you traveling a lot? Are you stressed out and that's how you're coping? Just, letting go and doing whatever pleases you, things that may be harmful in the long run. Is it family expectations or any other expectations in your life? I'm not saying that you need to put yourself on a pedestal, but I think prioritizing your needs and communicating your needs to others is really going to help you. At my job, I had to let them know what hours I could work and which schedule would really help me with my health, because if I just keep going and I don't want to say being run over, but if I'm not communicating what my needs are and my health is suffering, how is that helpful to me or to them, right? As an employee, I need to come and be the best version of myself. So I need to communicate what I need in order to thrive, in order to do that, okay? So a couple more things. The word psych, as in psychology, it is from a Greek word, the Greek word psych or psyche, which means soul. So it has less to do with our mind. Earlier we were talking about depressive symptoms, and people with mental health issues tend to have less self-care, maybe sometimes more if they're obsessive, compulsive. We know that terminology, but psychology really has to do, if you think about it, the soul, because that is the root word. How is your soul doing? Not just your mind, not what you're thinking about, but how is your soul functioning? And what is your soul? Your soul is the essence of who you are. It's all the experiences, all the things you've seen throughout your life, every emotion you've ever felt. That person that lives on the inside of you really is the root of everything else. So our mental function, our physical function, right, stems from our internal wellness. Okay, just something to think about there. I did some research on self-care tips and longevity, and I found some commonalities, and I wanted to share them with you. So most people promote 3 things for this, and can you guess what they are? Well, they're water, sleep, and sunscreen. There are other things, of course, there's a lot of other things for self-care, but those are the main 3 that if you want to make small changes today and you want to just start, get proper sleep, prioritize your sleep, at least 8 hours, 7 to 8 hours on a regular basis, and drinking the right amount of water is definitely important, not too much, not too little, and protecting your skin from the sun. Maybe get a little bit of sun, but for the most part, protect your skin. wear SPF, wear long sleeve shirts, wear hats. You know, all the research is telling us about that and how important that is. Excuse me. All right, so nothing can replace a proper diet. There's no pill, there's no supplement. As we talked about last week, it has to be consistent, and you have to find things that you enjoy so that you have long-term adherence. Okay, and then Bible verses. You know, you can look in the scriptures and find verses that will encourage you and keep you on track. And when you read these verses, it's not just a book. They become powerful in your life when you speak them and you use them in your life to live life. Okay, so find Bible verses that are going to be nourishing to your soul so that your soul can thrive. Okay. Another thing also to consider, another thing, is how effectively our body is processing toxins. So making sure, and you don't need to, you know, buy all these detoxes and stuff, as I've mentioned before, but making sure that you are eliminating foodstuffs regularly, okay, bowel movements, and that you are eating a healthy diet. Cilantro, parsley are really great at eliminating heavy metals. Lemon water for the liver. These are simple things that you can do and you can start with today. Okay. So I want to leave you with a couple of Bible verses to think on, because again, we're going to bring it back to God, because, you know, I am not a doctor. I mean, doctors aren't gods, right? I'm not a doctor. I'm not God. I'm not someone who can necessarily change your life. I can give you the information, but really it's going to be the power of God that can change our lives through Jesus Christ. Okay, so let me give you these scriptures. And of course, it's your option. It's your free will to believe that or not. I'm just here to provide the information. Okay, so what good will it be for someone to gain the whole world, but to lose their own soul? Or what would anyone exchange for their own soul? There's research being done now on how we can keep the essence of someone alive, their brain alive after they die. The one thing there's a lot of things wrong with that, but one of the main things wrong with that is that our soul is something that is alive. And when our body dies, our soul dies, you cannot keep the mind alive. I'm not a scientist. I mean, I am an exercise scientist, but I don't know everything. But I do know that you cannot keep the human soul alive. So that may be a gimmick. You may want to look into that. All right, that was Matthew 16:26, by the way. And then also from Matthew, in the words of Jesus, he says, love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind. So this is talking about the soul and the mind as two different things. And you can look at different versions of the scripture. It's Matthew 22:37. But with our mind, with our heart, and with the essence of who we are. And that kind of ties it all together. So what does that tell me? Having God as the focus in our lives is really going to bring us the satisfaction that we need in order to thrive. And that may sound boring to you, or maybe not, or maybe sound like a trap to you, or maybe not. But I'll tell you that once you break through that threshold and you have that relationship with the Creator, and it's your own unique relationship with Him, and you can start that by just talking to Him. You can have a seat and just talk to God as you would talk to a friend, and let Him know what you're thinking and what you're feeling, and ask Him to move in your life, you know, to reveal Himself to you. You know, whatever is on your heart to say, that's really the relationship. It's not about, you know, saying a certain prayer, or it's not about, you know, it's about behavior change, right? And He's the one who changes the behavior, and everything that we want is tied in that. But the initial start has to be with that conversation with Him, and allowing Him into your life and your soul, communicating with Him. There's so much more to it. It gets a lot deeper than that. You know, I'm not a pastor, but, you know, I've absorbed a lot over the years, and I really hope the best for you. I hope that you are being uplifted by this information, and that you receive healing in any area of your life that you are looking to receive healing. If you have any questions, please let me know. Any comments, you can write them down below in the comments section. Check out my my comments, everything that I write up each week, or even everything I say is in the write-up underneath, all the links and research and things like that. As always, if you want to donate to my channel, you can down below. And have a great week, guys. Thanks for being here and spending time with me. Bye.